Russian drones have crossed over into Poland. Last night, during yet another massive Russian drone attack in Ukraine, some of them crossed over into Poland. Speaking ahead of an emergency government meeting, Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk said that the airspace had been violated by a huge number of Russian drones, while the Ukrainian Air Force reported that 8 of them had crossed over into Poland. Tusk also said that the drones of the Garin 2 type, which posed a threat, were shot down by Polish and NATO pilots, with the help of Dutch F-35s. This is the first time that Russian drones have been shot down on the territory of a NATO country. All our allies are taking the situation very seriously. We have not recorded any casualties, the Polish Prime Minister said, adding that it was probably a large-scale provocation by Russia. Tension between Poland and Russia has increased, and not only because of the intrusion of drones, as we will see, to the point that the Polish Territorial Defense Force has announced the reduction of presentation times for soldiers. The force, made up of professional soldiers and part-time volunteers, asked soldiers from 4 eastern provinces to report within 6 hours if they received a request. A change in mobilization times carried out in response to what the department calls a violation of Polish airspace and deployment of search and rescue teams on the ground. Poland announced on Tuesday the total closure of the border with Belarus starting Thursday 11 in response to a major Russian military exercise. Moscow is about to kick off the Zapad 2025 exercise, a joint exercise with Belarus, which is held about every 4 years to simulate a clash with NATO countries in Eastern Europe. The 2023 edition was postponed, for war reasons, and its recovery this year raised alarms in the chancelleries of the eastern countries of the Atlantic Alliance on the grounds that the mobilization of Russian forces during the 2021 edition preceded the invasion of Ukraine. Tusk said that the very aggressive exercises prompted Warsaw to close the border with Belarus, adding that we are facing an increasing number of provocations from Russia and Belarus. Zapad 2025, West in Russian, which will take place from 12 to September 16, involving tens of thousands of Russian and Belarusian soldiers in maneuvers near Poland and Lithuania. Returning to the trespassing of Russian drones tonight, it is difficult to think that it was an accident considering the number of Garin 2s involved. The most likely estimates speak of a dozen loitering munitions, stray ammunition, that violated Polish airspace and entered the country for kilometers, also causing the temporary closure of Warsaw Airport for safety. An accident would have involved, as has already happened, a few individual drones. Instead, from what we know from OSINT, open source intelligence sources, it was a small swarm of drones that trespassed on Ukrainian territory. Most likely, Russia wanted to respond, in a rather provocative way, to the closure of the Polish border with Belarus and at the same time demonstrate once again that it is not only Russian airspace that is permeable to this type of threat, particularly insidious, but also that of the Atlantic Alliance. Shooting down a small drone, such as a loitering munition, is complicated and requires the deployment of a series of assets for its detection, tracking and shooting. Assets that NATO has not deployed along its eastern front, so it is reasonable to think that it was a demonstrative act also aimed at testing the alliance's defenses against this type of threat.